Hello explorers and welcome to another video. So we are talking today about login forms and the feature of saving your password or your username when logging in. So if we take a oldie but goodie, two fields here, it's just a username field and a password field and a submit type of an input. And if you do that, you see that you get this login square where you can say if you want to save the password or if you never want to see this dialog again. And this works in most browsers, even Edge and IE and so on. But there is some caveats to it. And the interesting part is that I've spent pretty much a day looking around the internet to finding a solution to my specific problem. I can read everywhere that this feature is something that many people use and that many people really expect that it should be in your web page. But nobody talks about what is required for this feature to work. So if you are in the bad situation that I was, that this feature just did not work. It did not show up at all. And I was really looking around to see what could I do about this issue? Where could I find some solution that just saved the password for the user so they could actually log into the page? And my setup is a little bit interesting because we have two different servers. And I want the login information to be saved on the first domain so that the user know that I log in to this specific domain and this password should be saved for that domain. I don't want it to be saved for the Ajax server that I actually have my backend connection to. So this was something that I had to look into and I had to figure out how to actually do this. Another thing I was encompassing in this work was that I was using web components, I was using Polymer, I was using all these nice paper elements and so on. So I had a lot of different things going for me and I didn't really know where the problem was. So if we look at the pure web components with the specific, exactly the same setup as that I had before, I can write something in here and I got my dialog. So that's good. And another thing to point out here, you see that I actually type out password saved on this page. It is actually the case that if you return 200, everything is okay on the page that you land on when you post or get your submission with your user data, and you don't have any output, then Chrome will not pop up this window. Chrome expects you to actually give you some content back. Firefox will actually give you the pop-up even if you don't give it any content, but Chrome needs some content to be sure that you actually made it to a page that was successful. And in my case, I'm talking JSON over an Ajax call, so I don't really care about this page. I don't really want the user to see this page. It's just for the convenience for the user to save the password. So that was the hurdle that I had to go past. Another part is if you have a real web component here with a form, and I type something in, and then I have a submit button down here. Doesn't anything happen there? If I do my actual button where I call the submit function on the form, it will send the login over here, but no data will be sent. So the actual Polymer input fields will not save any data. So we can look at the code here for the first, this save redirect function here. So I have an input, I have an ID, I have a name, I have a placeholder, I have a type. Try to add a label as well. User username. Could be that I have had the wrong naming, but name should actually give the field its name, I think. I need to try this as well. So now we have the username and password. Still no data going past to the form, which is a little bit sad. So I can remove this label again, because that didn't do the trick. So the strange part is that my form is never actually getting any data. I have this iron form around my form here, and if I remove this iron form, which is another feature that should give you the functionality to actually send some data over, then this login button will work again, which didn't do it before for some reason. So this login, iron login, actually removes the functionality for you to actually use a submit on a simple input. So that's a bit sad. I could actually go here and add some, copy these input boxes over here from the other one. Try those without any styling. See how that works. Then I get the save password window. So that actually works. So that's good. I had a different setup where I actually had to load the page as well. So the solution I went with, which is a little bit convoluted, is that I have this set up here with my paper button. Then I have a login function and the window dispatch event, which will send a login event to my window. And on my index page, I have a form submission where I actually send this form away to a new page, and then I populate my fields in after my login event is sent. And that will work fine. It will send the data through to the other one and then post it over, so I get this window. But that will only work in Firefox, Safari and Chrome and Opera, because those web browsers don't require that the form that you submit your username and password from and the button in that form is actually connected. So in Edge and IE, what I have found is that you actually need to have a form with a username or email or something like that, and an input field with the password and the button in the same form, and you need a user to click that button or submit input when they have typed in the username and password in that form in order to get this save username and password feature. So this roundabout way to actually submit some data to the web browser to save did not work for me in that case. Well, this is something that I've cut into the actual video because I was thinking a little bit further, and I actually found another solution that will work for me here, where I actually save the username and password and get this pop-up with both actions. And this solution here is also very simple. I actually just add a few extra input fields into my form and connect my paper input to those inputs and hide them in my form in order to submit them. And then I have a properties block down here with username and password with notify, and that seemed to work as well. Another thing that does make my setup here a little bit different than my work setup is that I actually use Polymer 1 at work, and we are upgrading to Polymer 2, and at home I ran with Polymer 2, of course. So something seems to work a little bit better here than they did in my actual setup where I had the most problems. So back to the other video. So that's a little bit frustrating, a little bit strange, and a little bit interesting that I had so many issues with such a simple function that just should work. And everybody says that don't turn this off, it should just work. Everybody expects it to work. So have you had any of these kind of experiences where somebody tells you that this should just work, it should be easy, and then you spend the whole day trying to research why does this not work that should just work? Or do you have any suggestion how to get this to work in Edge and IE? Then I'm really interested to hear it. And I hope that you learned something from this and that you found this interesting. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do that. And I really hope to see you in the next video.